Wait, remember Team Galaxy? It's the final member of the trio of shows created by Marathon Media, with the other two being Totally Spies and Martin Mystery. You know, trio if we're ignoring all the other stuff that they eventually did work on. But speaking of trios, the show follows three main student characters as they go through school to train to be galactic peacekeepers, essentially. When it comes to the other shows like Totally Spies and Martin Mystery, I was aware of them, I watched them, and hey, I even covered them both on the channel. But when it comes to Team Galaxy, it was the one I barely was able to watch or catch on TV, which makes so little sense to me because it's a sci-fi series, and I love sci-fi. So today's the day we take a look into what Team Galaxy is all about, what it had to offer in terms of its setting and premise, as well as what happened to it in the end. As a fan of Marathon's other bits of media for the most part, I've been excited to finally take a look into the one I was least familiar with, only ever seeing an episode or two when I was younger. With a cool sci-fi premise, it's easy to say yes to hop aboard. But will this journey end with a satisfying conclusion? Is it possible a good majority of people didn't even get to see the conclusion? Or in the end, will we be left to drift the cosmos with more questions than answers? It's time to go intergalactic and find out. There was just something so special about the mid-00 years as we would get so many fun and unique sci-fi cartoons. Whether it was grounded in a somewhat more realistic setting like something like Jimmy Neutron to then build off of, or something more odd and futuristic like Cubics. The sci-fi genre was thriving and I was there for it. Marathon Media already had their hands dipped into making productions that fit into the spy genre and the supernatural genre, having a common theme of following teenage school students that end up being part-time problem solvers for whatever comes their way to deal with. So it's only fitting that they take the concept that has already worked and tweak the setting to fit a new story and series of adventures that they want to explore. This time heading into the world of sci-fi since it already was so popular, and introducing us into this world of tomorrow. Set at a high school called Galaxy High, we follow three students as they learn to become protectors of the galaxy as space marshals. So while they are teenagers and have to deal with the normal teenage experience, their school life and general hands-on training are anything but the normal teenage experience. With our main crew here, each of them bring their own personalities, talents, wants, and more to the group that not only make them stand out as individuals in the show for everything they end up dealing with, but for the fact of how a friend group in general would work with how they interact with one another, both in a kind of professional protecting the galaxy type of way, as well as teenagers still being teenagers type of way. Together, Yoko, Josh, and Brett work as a unit to handle whatever comes their way. Oh, and how can I forget their team's fourth member, that being Fluffy, who's anything but, as he's a fully robotic pet that can act like a pet, serve as a general helper, as well as transform to aid in tougher situations that come up for the team.
Team Galaxy Monday at 7:30. Another Team Galaxy adventure about to start.
There were many hands in the cookie jar when it came to bringing this series to life. Co-producing the series alongside Marathon Media were Image Entertainment, France 3, Rai Fiction, and JetX Europe. So while the series would be dispersed around to different channels for broadcasts in different territories, like JetX showing the series in the UK, France 3 showing it in France, and YTV showing the series in Canada, it would ultimately end up as a Cartoon Network series in the US thanks to the network purchasing the rights to bring it to the States. While France 3 would premiere the series first on August 26, 2006, Cartoon Network wasn't far behind, premiering the series on September 9th, 2006. When Marathon sealed the deal with Cartoon Network to house the series in the US, they were extremely excited about it. We are honored to work with Cartoon Network on this new show, and we are confident that Team Galaxy has all the right stuff to be a smash hit both on and off screen. The series follows the same formula that made Totally Spies so special, a blending of action and outrageous character-based comedy which allows us to get the boys and girls to watch. Those statements were coming from the general manager of Marathon Animation, David Michel. So you can tell that there was a lot of faith behind this series to be the next big thing that they've created and could potentially have a wider scope beyond the screen, like with Totally Spies for all of the merch, games, and more that were produced for that series. So now let's take a look at what Team Galaxy was all about. Set in the 2050s, which dang, it really isn't that far away when you think about it now, we get brought into a school mixed with humans and aliens from all around the galaxy that are all learning and training to be space marshals, but still have that regular dose of school life when all being within the walls of the school together. What really makes the series special and something with a bit more substance to it all is the characters themselves, specifically the main three here. Josh is the stereotype slacker at school but ready for any type of action in the field type of person. He gets away with a lot thanks to his father being the principal of the school itself, giving him more leeway and privileges than most students would ever receive. While having fun and being the reckless type overall, Josh is fearless to a fault when it comes to the field missions that that he and his team are sent on. Thanks to this, he's clearly one of the best trained cadets in the school who can take on any mission with a level of confidence not often found in the others in Galaxy High. He may not be book smart, but when it comes to any mission, he really puts in the work of tackling anything thrown at him and the team by being able to improvise on the fly to help save the day. For Yoko, she's pretty interesting for the fact that she doesn't really care at the end of the day, or not, if being a space marshal is in her future, opting to rather be in the intergalactic entertainment industry for however she can get in, showcasing right from the very first episode that her true passions lie elsewhere. So while she still will be a part of the team and do what is required of her to help defend the galaxy, she'd rather be singing on a stage or appear on TV or just about anything else that gets her to her overall goal of being famous. Lastly, there is Brett, the youngest and shortest of the group here, but that doesn't mean much when he's the one here who is truly dead set on becoming a space marshal, putting in all of the work to be at where he is already at his age, and taking what it means to serve and protect as serious as possible when it comes to the missions and their purpose in general. While he still gets to have fun with the others and isn't a strict serious person, he struggles with the perception others have of him. He is picked on for being young and short, with all of this ending up as motivation to be the best that he can, which can sometimes be taken too literally for him, as he'll try to overcompensate or play catch up in the wrong ways. Together, all of them get along very well, but in all of the ways that make them school kids, they still have disagreements, they have clear different wants and desires, as well as seeing situations differently sometimes thanks to their own personal perspectives. But we do get these downtime moments at the school that show how connected they can be outside of just being as solid of a unit as they can when it comes to field missions. So you'll get it all here, a bit of space action, a bit of slice of life set within a school setting, and like I mentioned, they also have a robotic pet named Fluffy, as he is known as an Ultra Pet, which are a part of every team at the school, with them each coming in various colors and creature designs. Fluffy does play a big role in helping the team out, and in many cases is part of the reason they either succeed or just get their lives saved. Aside from Fluffy being an additional bit of help like any Ultra Pet is to their team, I do like that there really isn't a main character here between the three of them, meaning that I can't directly point at Josh and say that he's the leader of the team and we follow him first while Brett and Yoko are just side characters. It really feels like they took a page out of their own shows like Totally Spies and Martin Mystery to make sure that all three of them feel like main characters, giving us time with each of them, whether they are together or alone. They all feel equally important to focus on for what's going on. Sometimes we do focus on one more than the others, but it never starts feeling like that changes the structure of the show or who is more important. It can be a hard act to balance, but what the show gets so right is equally giving them all a purpose, time to shine, and allowing the audience enough to be invested in each of them. The premise of the series is really fun as well, giving us a school that focuses on training these teens to help out in keeping the galaxy safe from threats, and to help keep the peace in such a vast universe where you can never know what will happen next nor where it will come from. There is a bit of tonal inconsistency when it comes to the situations that take place that our main characters here get in versus how it's all resolved, especially if it's something that they end up getting punished for because of them handling things their own way or being the root cause of why the situation is happening in the first place. It seems that for many of the larger problems or implications of them, we basically see more slaps on the wrists given than actual discipline or consequences handed out. And when you finally see some more direct actions taken, it makes you question why it was done so for something that seems way less important or dire than previous situations. Overall though, I think the series ends up striking a fun balance between the space action they wanted to explore, as well as what makes these characters who they are through both the action and their school life. The lore of the series within the setting it takes place in can be a bit weird and nonsensical at times as well, but at least it's fun and not just stupid for the sake of just making things the way they are. Like having the school constantly be this direct point of where threats go to and target, and having the battles brought directly to them, or the fact that the school also acts like a jail to house the bad guys. And on top of anything like that, this is still a school that will send these teen cadets into dangerous and life-threatening space battles, so you know, it's a solid and safe curriculum all around. You know, normal day. You wake up, go to alien studies class, eat in the cafeteria, defend the school from invaders, maybe go on a space mission and get into a battle on another planet, then go back for a little algebra, and then the school day is over. But in saying all that, there was a fun pacing to it all that made the series a good time with cool main characters and side characters to follow along with. But it also felt at times that the series never really took you anywhere. By that I mean it never felt like it was building up to something bigger, something that really drove where these characters were going, as two of the three main characters don't really care about being a space marshal at the end of the day. It wasn't until the end of the second season that a larger in scope plot was being set up, but it was something set that would end the second season in a major way, rather than, let's say, way help build up what the next season could be, as another season beyond this may have never been on the table to begin with. So after 52 episodes across 2 seasons, Team Galaxy came to an end. But what if most people in the US never really got to experience the show like that at all? What if Cartoon Network never showed a chunk of the series? In fact, what if they never showed most of it?
Team Galaxy's on Magoozy. Team Galaxy's only on Cartoon Network.
So what happened? Why did the series come to an end in general? Well, it just lasted as long as it was funded for, which was 2 seasons for a total of 52 episodes that let the creators of the series fully complete the story they wanted to tell, coming to an absolute enough conclusion for the main situation in the final 3-part episode without delivering every answer for the future of what lies next for our main trio. While this ending can be taken however you as an individual will see it, it does not hurt or ruin anything that had come before it. But for US audiences, you probably are more confused as to what Team Galaxy even was, as the network only ended up ever showing 13 episodes from the series, meaning you never got to fully watch all of Season 1 or any of Season 2 on Cartoon Network. Do we know why? No. Is it annoying? Oh, you better believe it. But it completely explains how a show like this got past my radar, because I would have been all over it with its sci-fi based genre and it having a similar look to other shows Marathon made that I had already liked. It's honestly a shame that the series didn't get a chance to gain a real audience here, as everywhere else, like in Canada and in Europe, the series got to fully release both seasons just fine before it came to an end in early 2008. For the series on Cartoon Network, the 10:30 a.m. Saturday morning time slots eventually became 8:30 a.m. time slots until December 2nd, 2006, where the final new episode of the series was shown off on the network before disappearing from the schedule the following week. About a month later, at the start of January in 2007, a random episode of Team Galaxy was played during Cartoon Network's Magoozy block, but this only lasted for a little under a week. After that, it was completely gone. Now, this is a network thing, not a show thing, and sure, the quality of a series can impact a network's decision to do anything they want, but I just do find it weird that this show wasn't given a proper chance. For any shortcomings the series may have, whether it be repetitive a bit or not offering larger stakes or lessons to learn for the characters to grow in general with from episode to episode, at least the series had a solid focus on being fun and delivering some cool sci-fi action. It does lack in exploring the sci-fi side of Earth itself in this future year, or really getting into more about the cool sci-fi technology at the school itself, but with those things not being really all that important at the end of the day to whatever is going on, I don't think it hurts the series or what interest you may have in Team Galaxy. Making sense of the whole series, why this school is the way it is by having these students being placed in such dangerous scenarios, living only within the school, which is under a giant dome, is something that will just take you out of the series. While logical sci-fi, where everything can be explained or make sense, is fun and great, sometimes sci-fi can just be whatever it is. Who says it needs to follow some sort of rules to explain and establish why everything is the way it is, especially if the main focus doesn't really have anything to do with that. While I, much like anyone else, would of course be interested to know more about this world that the show is set up in, it doesn't ruin the fun the show brings. The characters are interesting enough to keep you invested in them, and the sci-fi scenarios we end up in are usually pretty exciting both visually and how they play out. There's a good enough mix-up of episodes that are smaller and sillier to those that are larger in scope and can be a bit more serious, but for me, it was always the main characters that brought me back into each adventure we would go on. I love sci-fi. I think I've stated that quite well in this video. So I do love seeing what cool technology is introduced into the series, as well as going into space, seeing other worlds, dealing with other species relations, and even full-on battles taking place. There's a nice style to this show that Martin Mystery and Totally Spies had that elevates the expressive nature of the characters, while also including sleek and sharp action that, combined with the designs of the outfits and technology, reminds me of the sci-fi films that came out in the 1960s and 70s. So for me personally, going through this series was a lot of fun and filled me with a lot of joy that older sci-fi films do as well. I just wished it was given a proper chance to gain an audience or something, so it would have grabbed my attention back when it was on Cartoon Network, as I for sure would have been tuning in back then, if I had the chance. While you could find yourself disappointed at the end of the series with you wanting there to be more or feeling like there is more left to explore, I still think that the 2 seasons of the show we got are a fun enough time on their own. Sure, with how the finale really brings in so many elements of great character dynamics, action, and stakes, why wouldn't you want more of that. It felt like for what could come next would be these students dealing with greater threats, or growing up to decide their actual career paths. There just feels like there is more for Yoko, Brett, and Josh. But if that's not the case, it's still a solid enough conclusion that doesn't feel like you're left on a cliffhanger, or that you've wasted 2 seasons to get to nothing. If you enjoyed Totally Spies or Martin Mystery, you're getting more of what you liked in those shows here, just in a new setting, with new characters within a new genre. Should the series come back? I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to it, as I enjoyed the series as a whole for the most part, but if Totally Spies can make a comeback and continue on, who knows what the future holds. Let me know your thoughts on Team Galaxy. Did you enjoy the series? Should it come back in any type of way like Totally Spies did? Tell me all your thoughts and more in the comments below. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like on this video and to subscribe for more videos like this coming soon, but until then, later.